Have you ever wanted to learn a programming language but you don't know where to start? Or do you already know a programming language but it took ages to learn and you just don't want to go through all of that to learn another one? Well, this is the right video for you. I have a method that I use to learn programming languages and to get really good at them very quickly. And I want to share this method because I've been asked this a lot, and I think it's a valuable thing to share, and I don't think there are enough good tutorials on YouTube or whatever showing how to actually learn a programming language. So the key to understand is that your brain throws away information that it does not use. So if your brain is not using something, it will throw it away. If it sees no meaning in something, it will throw it away. So even if you're using that information, if your brain does not see meaning in it, it will throw it away. So what I'm going to teach you is how to learn a programming language and actually remember it and not spend all this time in tutorial hell. So I have a method. My first step in my method, rather, is to go and to learn the fundamentals of your programming language. This first step is technically optional because you'll see why. I'll explain why it's optional, but I highly encourage doing this step. So you'll go to, for example, YouTube, and you'll search for, let's say you want to learn Rust for beginners. So you'll go to YouTube and you'll search this up, and you'll be like, okay, is there? So you'll want to find a playlist or something, and what you want to do is you only want to watch the first 5 videos or something, the first 5 videos. And this is so you can learn the fundamentals that you'll be using all the frickin' time. So creating variables, creating functions, creating constants, importing libraries, stuff like that. And also stuff that's important to the language you are learning. So for example, if you're learning Rust, you'll also want to learn what ownership and borrowing is, that kind of thing. So basically the very basic fundamental things about programming. If you are learning your first programming language, you also will want to learn about things like control flow and whatnot, and also data types and stuff. So you basically want to learn fundamentals that you that you'll use all the time, and you just have to have in your brain at all times. You can't go programming something without them. So, for example, if you are learning a programming language for the first time, I recommend learning Python, because a lot of Python tutorials will actually teach you about things like control flow and basic data types and stuff. So after you've learned the fundamentals, you want to start a project, and you want to start a project that is actually meaningful to you. So not a throwaway test repository or something. You actually have to find meaning in it, and this is so your brain associates what you learn with usefulness. So for example, let's say you need a nice terminal calculator. Create a terminal calculator. For example, what if you need a password manager? Create a password manager. Now, in the sense of a password manager, for things like password managers, you do need to be a little careful about building them. You need to do some extra research about it. But yeah, go for it. Essentially, find something you need to make. If you're learning a programming language, chances are you probably already have something you need to make. The important part, though, is maybe keep the scope down a little bit. You don't want to make super tiny things, but you also don't want to go overboard. So if you're programming for the very first time, maybe don't jump straight into creating a video game. Start with something simple that doesn't require a whole ton of prerequisite knowledge just to get started with it. And once you create a project, you move on to step 3. And this is why I said step 1 was a bit optional, is step 3 is simply learning as you go. Now, if you don't do step 1, this is going to be a lot harder. You're going to be looking things up left and right, and your code is going to stink for a while, but step 3 is learn as you go. So for example, if I have, if I'm creating something in Rust, and I have my main function here, and I have like a list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, first of all, I probably looked up how to make a list of numbers, like how arrays and stuff work. Now, I would say this is fundamental, so you probably learned this in step 1, like creating variables and assigning arrays to them and stuff. But something you would probably end up learning in step 3 is something like for loops, where you don't always have to use them. So I'll be like, okay, how to make a for loop? So I need to make a for loop. So then I'll look up, like on YouTube, or actually it'd be probably faster in just a simple web search. I'd say, how to make a for loop in Rust. And I'd search up this specific thing. And this also has the nice effect of keeping me out of tutorial hell, because I know what I'm looking for, as opposed to just drinking the entire programming language in like a fire hose. So I learned how to make for loops and whatnot, and you can see like it's telling me how to make for loops. And so I'd apply this knowledge that I just learned. So I'd say for I in list, print ln I. So I'd apply this knowledge that I learned immediately. And this is how your brain remembers it, is you have to do it immediately, and you have to, as opposed to just copying someone's example, you have to actually understand the example in order to adapt it for your needs. This is incredibly important, and it isn't stated enough. So after you go through that loop of just learning stuff as you go to create a program or a bit of code or whatnot, you want to ask for feedback from people who actually know what they're doing. So like, for example, if you want help with Rust, you can go to, I don't know, the Rust Discord server or whatever. And what you can do is you can ask someone to review your code and give you feedback. Once you get feedback, you want to apply that feedback to your code. And this is important because these languages will have semantic differences and stuff. So like, for example, in Rust, if I have my main function and I have a state of some kind, if you're coming from Python, you will be used to using strings or numbers or whatever. If you're coming from C, you're probably using numbers. So I'll say let state on, and then I'll say if state is equal to on, I'll do like print ln state is on, and I'll do else state is, or actually, if you're doing strings, you would do like else if state off print ln state is off. And then you'd have some sort of else clause because you're using strings, and it's like std process exit 1. Now this code works, but is it good? No, it is not. So that is why you ask people who know what they're doing for feedback. And the feedback that, for example, if you ask me, the feedback I would give is to create an enum. So enum state. And you would put on and off as your variants. And instead of state equals on string, you do state on. And then instead of this if statement, which is kind of ugly, you would instead do a match. So match state, and then you would do like state on print ln. Another benefit of the match statement is it forces you to handle every single variant of the enum. State, so state on print ln state is on, and then I can copy this and just say off and put off here too. And this is how I would improve this code. And like you wouldn't really figure this out unless you asked someone who knows what they're doing for feedback. And that is why feedback is very important and why people need more of it, because I don't think people go to people who know what they're doing enough, and that needs to change. So once you once you've done all that, just repeat the last few steps. So keep starting projects, keep learning as you're going, keep asking for feedback, keep starting projects, keep learning as you're going, keep asking for feedback, yada 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 da 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 da. That is how you get good. That is how you get good. And if you apply my method that I just taught you in this tutorial correctly, you can learn programming languages really quickly. Granted, you already know the basics from another programming language, but even if you don't know a programming language, this will be a good way to learn a programming language quite quickly. Now, if you don't know a programming language already, I do actually recommend, perhaps if you have the time, to just go through tutorial hell and watch every single video in like a Python for Beginners playlist, because that will teach you things that you will want to know just in the back of your mind, even if you forget it. But if you already know a programming language, you'll definitely want to use this method, because it will mean you're spending as little time as possible learning useless crap. And if you can minimize the amount of time spent learning useless crap, you can maximize the amount of time you're spending writing actually good code. So yeah, I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, I have a Discord server. All my links are on oglo.dev, so oglo.dev. I'll also have this in the description. I have my GitLab repositories, Codeburger repositories, YouTube channel, Odyssey channel. My Odyssey channel is kind of dead right now because I'm not using Odyssey. I have my Patreon if you want to donate to me. I can't take money out yet because I'm not yet 18, but once I can, this will help me kickstart life and whatnot. So if you donate to me on Patreon, I'd very much appreciate that. I also have my Discord server. So if you want help or you want to talk to the community, you can join the Discord server. The chat can be sometimes a mess, but yeah, it's a fun place. Everyone there is nice. We all respect each other. I got my Matrix room. It's kind of dead as far as I know. Revolt's not a good platform, so I don't really use it. But yeah, I have all my links here, and if you have questions, join the Discord server, ask me, ping me. There's a Help Me Please channel in there. You can send as much stuff as you want in there about things you need help with. But yes, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Well, technically a tutorial for following tutorials. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell. I post content about Linux and programming and whatnot. I do live streams where I program stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I will see you all next time. Bye-bye. Have a good day.